Hey guys. So, you guys might remember that earlier I made a video about how there's no excuses for the lack of cloud saves in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee and Splatoon 2. Now, most people agreed on the Splatoon 2 front. They store all of the save data locally on your Switch. And the solution is to stop doing that and put it online on servers and make that be the data that matters. Then you can't overwrite it by save backups. So that's a simple solution, one that every online game, including several of Nintendo's own online games, do. So yeah, just change how you store your ranking data. And there's actually evidence to suggest Nintendo's already storing your ranking data online, because when you use the app, you are able to access that ranking data through the app, and it updates. And so they have the data on their servers, or whatever they're storing them on, in the cloud somewhere. But for some reason, your data locally on your Switch supersedes that. So that's an easy solution. But there was a lot of fight back on the points I made about Pokemon and why they should allow cloud saves, and what the reasoning is to deal with cloning. Because basically the big reason that people think it's a good thing, that I'm seeing applause, that Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee do not allow cloud saves, is rather simple. It allows you to easily clone Pokemon, either trading online, or even if that's fixed through online connectivity things like I suggested, trading locally. My suggestion would not have fixed the local trade problem. Well, I have a solution that fixes both, and it's really a playoff of the solution I had for the online system and just applying it to the local system. So the way to prevent cloning, it's almost impossible to prevent cloning entirely, because that would deal with the hacking community and being able to do your best to stop that. But what I'm going to be talking about here is how they can make it so the cloud save system would have zero impact on cloning. So, for those who don't know what cloning is, the idea is that you have a Pokemon and you trade it either through the online system using the bank or wherever the case with other people, or you trade it locally to someone. And then you take the Pokemon you get and you store it somewhere, right? In Pokemon Bank, as an example, you made the trade, go stick that Pokemon that you traded for in Pokemon Bank, go restore your old save file, and the Pokemon you traded to get that Pokemon you have, and then you pull that Pokemon you put in the bank back into your game. Easy peasy, easy way to clone, can be done with anyone that can make a backup of their saves, which is done through hacking right now. On 3DS, you hack it, you get your save back up, and you restore, and blah, blah, blah. Basically, cloning is already happening. It's already a big problem in Pokemon. And the reason that people are so supportive of the cloud save feature not being there is cloud saves gives an officially supported method to essentially recover a save file and clone Pokemon. The thing is I think it's a really weak excuse for Nintendo and Game Freak to just say we're not going to allow you to back up your hundreds of hours of playtime and data in Pokemon because of the ability to clone Pokemon. And that's because they can stop people from cloning Pokemon using the cloud saves. Here's how. So for online, obviously when you're trading Pokemon online and stuff like that, they can assign unique IDs to each Pokemon. So when you trade that Pokemon, it won't let you trade it again, right? And that could still let you clone the Pokemon and get it back. However, here's the thing. When you trade online, it can give you a warning, okay? That when in the process of completing this trade, your save file will be automatically updated in the cloud. So what does that mean? It means that once you traded that Pokemon, your save file was updated with the trade, meaning that the data you need to recover to clone your Pokemon no longer exists in the cloud. And on top of this, a step further, when you do local trades, this can literally be programmed into future games. It's hard to go back in the old games and retcon this in. It would require patches and people choosing to install those patches. So it's going to be very hard to do it for the older games. But for new games like Let's Go and other Pokemon games moving forward, all they have to do is code in the game for local trades that upon making a trade request, whether it's online or locally, it automatically updates your save file on the system. And then when you try to connect online to the cloud to download your older save file, it notices that your save file has been updated due to a trade. Ergo, it will not let you download that file. It'll ask, would you like to update your save file? You will not be able to restore from it. Or it'll just automatically update that file for you and not even give you the option. It'll just tell you that because your local save file was changed recently due to a trade, we are, ergo, going to update your cloud save data. It's gone. It's a very, very, very simple solution to what people think is an extremely complex issue. And it shows how little people understand that how Game Freak and Nintendo are ignoring the problem. Not allowing cloud saves in Pokemon Let's Go and Pikachu Let's Go Eevee creates a whole bevy of issues. Okay? It creates the fact that you can lose hundreds of hours of save data. This has always been the case, by the way, for like the past, 4 or 5 generations. So you can lose Pokemon you have on your system. You can lose your single player progress. Some of you guys might not care about that, but there are lots of people who play Pokemon for the single player. Losing that progress would suck, especially when you grind it out, hundreds of hours for a Pokemon that you happen to not put in the bank because it's in your party and you're actively leveling it, you're actively using it, to battle trainers and stuff. Losing all that data would suck. And the thing is, they can give you this cloud backup system without affecting cloning. I just explained it. Let me recap it for those who just came in to watch this video or watch this live stream. To stop cloning with cloud saves is a rather simple process. Every time you make a trade, whether it's online or local, the process of making the trade automatically overwrites your save data, both locally and in the cloud. Now, when you make a local trade and you're not connected online, you might be like, oh, well, that cloud save still has my old data, so they can go still pull down that old data. Except when you connect to the cloud to download the data, before it lets you even touch it, it does a check of your local save file. Sees your local save file had a recent save that was automatically done because of a trade. Even if you've saved after the fact, it'll notice that since that save that you have in the cloud, there was a save made due to trades. Because of that save, it will automatically wipe your cloud data save and resave it based on the current save file you have on your local system. It's really that easy. Like, done. Period. Over it. Doesn't matter if after that trade you put that Pokemon in the bank and try to recover your save, because your save won't exist anymore. It's an automated system. It can be done. The fact that people think that this is a solution that is impossible to solve, that they need to block cloud saving because of cloning, is ridiculous. No, you're not going to be able to stop cloning necessarily from people who hack their system, make a local backup, and then restore that local backup. That is something that you won't be able to prevent through these methods. They will have to look into more anti-cheat methods or more methods to make make that save data really, really hard to back up locally. That's fine. They can try all those anti-cheat measures they want, but we should not have like cloud saves as an ability we're paying for, not possible in Pokemon games moving forward, not in the past, moving forward, because of the excuse of cloning, when I just offered a solution to solving the cloning issue. It is such a simple solution. I have seen other games do this. When you do backups, anytime you try to trade an item, like in certain games, it automatically updates your save file so you can't clone the items. Like, there are other games that let you trade items online. This isn't like the only game that lets you do it. And this is the method they use to prevent cloning. So stop making excuses. And I just said the same method can be applied within the game itself. All you have to do is code it in that every time you make a trade locally, it updates your local save file, and then when you try to access your cloud file, it notices your save file was updated and thus will overwrite your cloud save to your current save data, thus getting rid of the cloning risk from cloud saves. I can understand why they don't let local backups happen. They could implement a similar system with local backups, but there'll always be workarounds for that. But in the cloud, I'm sorry, there's zero excuse to not allow cloud saving for Pokemon. Period. Moving forward. Not past Pokemon games, moving forward. There's none. Absolutely none. I dare someone out there to try to refute the system I just threw out there that would solve all of the problems. So I'm glancing at the chat. Ariel Ledger says, couldn't they just have the save data keep updating in general? Just overwrite the old data so you can have your progress on a new system or something, but not restore the save to a previous state. So you said, couldn't they just have the save data keep updating in general? Yeah, that's what I was saying. So what happens is every time you trade, before the trade even looks complete on your screen, in the process of that trade happening, it automatically saves over your current save file. And when you're doing it online, it'll automatically save your save file in the cloud and your local one. When you're doing it offline, it'll automatically save your local one. And then when you access the cloud server to get your backup back, it'll notice that you had a recent save due to a trade that is dated after whatever happened in the cloud one, and thus it'll overwrite the cloud data. Problem solved. Someone refute it. Someone tell me how this is an impossibility and that Game Freak really cares about you guys. Because if they really, really cared about the people, the millions and millions of people that use Pokemon, they would not block cloud saving. They would just enable this stuff. They would code this in. They would focus on this so you can back up your data. You know what's more important than any issue with cloning? The ability to not lose hundreds of hours of progress in Pokemon. And the fact that they can give you that and still deal with the cloning issue of cloud saving. They can still deal with a commonly used method. This is common. Why do people act like Pokemon's this special use case that has to be treated in a special way, that Game Freak is doing something positive by blocking cloud saves when they can fix it so cloud saves aren't an issue? Stop making excuses. Let me see what some other people are saying. He's mad when he talks about this topic. I get upset when people tell me I'm wrong about, not that I'm wrong, because I could be wrong, but that I don't understand because I'm not a hardcore Pokemon player about how all this stuff works and about cloning. I just provided the solution. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me how this solution does not solve every issue with cloning Pokemon when it comes to cloud saves. No, it does not solve the cloning issues with hacking, but that's happening regardless. This would make it so Nintendo could offer you that user-friendly way to back up your hundreds of hours of Pokemon save data in upcoming Pokemon games and not allow those saves to be abused for cloning. I just offered the solution. It's not even the solution that I had to sit here and ruminate on for days and days and days, and I'm not a multi-billion-dollar company with developers and security people paid to figure out this stuff. This is commonly used methods that other games that have trading use to prevent items from being cloned. It's the same difference with Pokemon. If you look at Pokemon as an item, as a commodity, you can literally have your save files automatically updated every time you trade, and that gets rid of any possible ability to overwrite save data and get your old Pokemon back after you drop that traded Pokemon into the bank. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that I still see people on Twitter, on YouTube, on Reddit, on other gaming forums arguing with me that this is just an impossibility. I've yet to see one person refute that this can be done. That this method that other games that have trading in it, both locally and online, use cannot be applied to Pokemon. Yeah, the unique Switch bundle is pretty cool. I like that Switch bundle a lot. Pokemon Let's Go is going to make bank. Yep, sure. I agree on that. Let's see here. Pokemon main use is to transfer the Pokemon easier to the next game without using the two system crap. Yeah, no, Pokemon Bank is great. I don't know why they bother to charge when it's only $5 a year. At that point, it's kind of like, I don't know why you just don't make that part of the games. Don't the games sell well enough to support an online bank system through a couple servers worldwide? Anyways, I like the Pokemon bank system. I like how easy it makes it to transfer all your Pokemon between multiple different Pokemon games, not having to have two systems and all this crazy stuff. I like that. I think that's awesome, and that's them taking advantage of the fact we have the internet now, so why not make that easier? Why not make online trades easier? Like, I get all that. But the solution I just presented is, from what I can tell anyways, unless someone comes up with a good reason, is irrefutably a way to solve the issue of cloud saves for cloning, and thus should be implemented so we can cloud save back up our hundreds of hours of progress in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. As Ariel says, you're not wrong. Cloning will always happen. I admit it. This does not fix the hacking clones. That's a totally separate issue that they have to address. But that would prevent people from abusing the cloud saves to do it. It won't happen, though. Game Freak doesn't care about their fans, and they never listen. That's kind of what I'm hitting on. The number one defense I saw today, someone arguing with me, was saying that Game Freak won't allow cloud saves because they care too much about preventing cheaters and maintaining the community. No, they don't. They don't give two craps. This is a method for them to say, look, we know that people clone Pokemon to cheat, so we're not going to allow a method to exist that's going to make that a slightly easier to do. And the reason we're not going to allow that method is to make it seem like we're doing something about cheating. When, one, we're not even combating how people are cloning right now in the first place. We're offering no stopgaps, no solutions, nothing to make it actually more difficult to do. We're just saying, well, Nintendo should make their system more secure. Okay, fine, but there's stuff you can implement within those same files that could prevent save file restoring. There are methods that exist out there that other companies have sorted out to prevent that. But whatever, we're not talking about that specifically here. We're talking about, they're saying, instead of giving you this super user-friendly commodity that everyone would appreciate having, the ability to back up everything. Yes, you could throw Pokemon in the bank, but reality is there's probably still going to be Pokemon in your game. You're going to have story progress. You're going to have certain items still in your game that you would like not to lose. That you would not like to lose the hundreds of hours of progress it took you to get that stuff that you just happen to not have on Pokemon Bank at the time because you happened to drop your Switch, or your Switch got stolen, or any number of reasons. You spilled water on the thing, or overheated and warped because you're out in the middle of Arizona and it was 115 degrees one day, and you took your Switch and you were playing it outside while you were waiting for the bus to come, and it overheated, and now you lost all your data. This is amazing. This is the way to do it. This is how you allow cloud saving to exist for those consumers, for all of us consumers that are so worried about losing all of our progress in an RPG. Remember, we're talking about an RPG. We're not talking about a game you spend 10 hours playing. We're talking about games that you sink hundreds, if not thousands of hours in. No ability to back that up because you're unwilling to put in the measures that easily prevent cloud saves from being abused? What? How is that okay? How is that Game Freak saying we care about people? No, they don't. If they did, they would implement these commonly used methods to allow users to have this user-friendly way to use cloud saves, and then they would also start working towards combating the way that people are currently abusing and cloning Pokemon. But they're not doing anything about that. They're not addressing that. They're not addressing the issues that make cloning Pokemon easy to do with cloud saves when it's easily preventable with save data overwrites during trades. It's so dumb. So dumb. So I'm reading the stuff in here. What's the people saying? Corey Bonner says, at this point, I guess the bigger question is, does Nintendo begin to care enough if people vote with their wallets? I feel most people will pay for the service of the game. The thing is, this is more on Game Freak than probably Nintendo. Nintendo can't force Game Freak to fix this issue. It has to be something Game Freak wants to do. Game Freak and the Pokemon Company specifically. I doubt Nintendo. I'm not going to put Nintendo. Nintendo's fully at fault for Splatoon 2. We can kind of say Game Freak has way more pull with how it's going to work in Pokemon than Nintendo does. Let me see here. You make really good points. We need gaming news sites to keep tabs on this game because it's the biggest Nintendo mobile franchise on the biggest portable system on the market. Agree there. I mean, hybrid system, but still, I get your point. Multi says you should talk to Sarah B on Twitter about cloud saves. He understands why they're not going to provide backup saves for Pokemon games. Yes, because of how cloud saves would be able to be abused without Game Freak actually implementing the systems that could prevent it. I just provided how it could be done. Let me recap for all the new viewers out there how they could prevent cloud saves from affecting the ability to clone Pokemon and cheating in Pokemon. When you trade online, in the process of completing that trade, it updates your local save file and it updates your cloud save file. So now you no longer have access to a save file that has your old Pokemon anymore. That save file no longer exists. There's no way to recover it. That's one. When you do a local trade, right, when you're not online, so you're thinking, I'm going to do a local trade and then I'm going to download my old file and restore it. I'm going to delete my save data or whatever off of my Switch and get it back, right? What happens is when you do that local trade, it also updates your local save data. Now, as I said, then you to deleting your save data at that point would actually be a fruitless adventure. Let me explain that as well. So say you traded your Pokemon. And they can implement systems for this as well. You traded the Pokemon, it updated your local save file. You don't care about that Pokemon you traded for some reason, maybe because it was with a friend. They gave you a Butterfree or something that you don't care about for some legendary, and you're trying to help your friend out, give them that legendary, and I'm going to clone that legendary. So I don't even care about putting Butterfree into the Pokemon Bank and cloning. I just wanted to give my friend a legendary, then get my legendary back. So I'm going to delete my save data and re-download it from the cloud. But here's the thing. They could put in the save data a trail that would show that you actually recently had this would really piss people off, that you recently made a trade and now you're trying to clone your data, and the only way that's happening is to go through customer service, because the cloud system would trigger, actually you had a recent save that you deleted that had updated data from a trade. We think that's fishy. Please contact customer service to see if we can restore your data. And that might, they might be willing to do it if your friend is also that you traded the Pokemon to is also willing to get involved in this process and transfer that Pokemon back to you through the customer service line, and then they can give you your save file back. But that's your own fault because you tried to clone Pokemon. So not only could they punish you for trying to clone Pokemon, they can make it extremely difficult to access that cloud. They got to remember, when the backup you're relying on is on Nintendo servers, there are so many methods they can put in place. And these automatic save file updates basically solved the entire mess. And then on top of that, when someone would try to trick it and delete a save file so they could clone a Pokemon by sending it to another Switch, guess what? They can make it so you can't get your save file back and you have to go through customer service, and they have to force the transfer back of that Pokemon if you want your save data back. Oh my gosh, it's so brilliant. How could this be refuted? Oh, because it's hard and you don't understand game development. Yeah, I never said that it's like the easiest thing to do in the world, but we're talking about a billion-dollar franchise. I think it's safe to say Pokemon's probably a multi-billion-dollar franchise at this point. The overall value for the Pokemon IP has got to be in the billions, especially after Pokemon Go came out. You're telling me a company with multi-billion dollars in the bank, Nintendo included in this, can't make that work? Can't have Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, Nintendo, team up to make it so they could implement these systems that other companies already use in their own trading systems to prevent cloning, to allow you to have cloud save backups, which is a wholly beneficial thing to all consumers? No. Well, bring on the excuses. Bring it on. Why is what I'm suggesting not going to work? Now, I admit it will be annoying to go through customer service, especially if something legit happened, like you traded a Pokemon, it created this thing, and then you dropped your Switch or something like that. Like it can be annoying, but you'll still be able to recover that data if it's legit when you go through customer service. But man, that sure makes cloning Pokemon a hell of a lot harder through the save data method. I mean, someone's probably going to find some way to try to trick the system, and then you just got to release a patch to fix all that. Because regardless, they own your data. It's on their cloud servers, so they can block access to that as much as they want. Like, they can be like, oh, we discovered an exploit where people are somehow working around our current systems. Until that exploit is updated, you will not have access to your backups that are in the cloud, and you will not be able to make, or maybe they'll let you still make new backups to the cloud, but you won't be able to download them until they fix the exploit. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the problem is. Why are people defending Game Freak on this? Why are they saying that instead of solving what the issues would be with cloud backups, we're just not going to allow them at all? Oh, but Pokemon's never allowed you to back up. Who cares? It should have. Now, you could argue, because the only argument I have for why it was okay for Pokemon not allow backups before is because it's a lot harder to figure out how to block cloning when you have local backups. And that's how cloning's happening now anyways. People hack, they create local backups. It's hard to do that, but it's not hard to do that when you control the data in the cloud. It's not difficult. And they have a system like this before in Handheld that people got around it by simply turning the system off during the saving process. That was for local backups. Well, what they can do is, when you initiate the trade, before the trade even happens, they can create a token on your file. So even if you try shutting off your system in the middle of the trade, so like the trade completes, but it hasn't finished the save or whatever the case may be, you still have that token that was saved right when you hit that button to the trade. That would initiate that you completed a trade. Or you began a trade. It would flag you for fishy behavior when you go back online to download the file. Your file can be blocked from you until an investigation is done to see whether or not this was legit, like your system just died at the start of a trade, because that could happen. It would require, again, talking to customer service. These are so many ways that would make cloning just not even a thing people would do with cloud backups. Love the setup. Yeah, well, that's just the one set. I do have the light in now. It's orange over here. So there's the LED lighting that I'm gonna be using on the wall back here for. It's orange right now, but it's got a whole bunch of different colors that I'm gonna be using for Prime News. And then I also have my streaming setup kind of over here. I'm gonna be doing a test stream tonight. I'll probably just be playing Fortnite or something on the big screen, which I've never even done. And I'll probably do a test Fortnite stream tonight. Just, I don't know, it might turn into a 2 or 3 hour stream, but it's going to be with the laptop and testing my new stream setup. I won't be using this nicer webcam for it. I'll be using my older webcam just because I'm trying to make it so I don't have to move equipment around as often. So I'm going to see how this webcam will do for it. If it doesn't work, I might swap them and bring that webcam over here since I sit closer to it, and then bring this webcam over there. But this one has a bigger default zoom. And since the camera is going to be sitting further back on the coffee table, I think it's going to actually make for a better picture. And everything's going to be running through the laptop. So I already have my Switch hooked up, and that works fine with the TV, of course. There's no reason it wouldn't. I'm not saying it's right we are paying for cloud saves, but I do understand why we're not getting cloud for Pokemon. I don't. I just explained to you why we should have cloud on Pokemon, what's beneficial about it, and what Game Freak could do to make it possible. I don't understand why Game Freak's not willing to do that to make it possible. Give me a good reason why Game Freak is not willing to put in the measures to make cloud saves possible. Give me a reason. Give me a good reason. Other than they're lazy and they don't want to do it. Because they don't actually give a crap. Because the easy solution for them, the one that saves them the most money, is they do nothing. Is to say, we don't care about our consumers. They're going to buy our games anyways. We're going to do nothing. And my issue then with that are the people that defend Game Freak for doing that, for basically telling their consumers to screw off. We're not going to make your experience better. Screw making things better. You're buying our games anyways. Unless we think Game Freak's like EA now or something like that. Where, forget making the games better. You're going to buy them anyways. This isn't even about if you're interested in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee at all either. Like that's a totally separate topic. Obviously, I'm really interested in these games, but not. I get why it's not going to be for every Pokemon fan, and that's fine. That's totally fine. The debate really isn't about if this game appeals to you or not. The debate is about now that they offer cloud saves, and there's a commonly known method to implement to prevent cloning with the cloud save file. There's no excuse for Game Freak not to do it, except for the fact they just don't want to, because they don't care, because it costs them money to implement the system. And we shouldn't just sit there and be like, that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. Pokemon hasn't had backup saves before. That's okay. It doesn't matter. Why make things better for consumers? Consumers are paying for a service on Switch to be able to back up their games. This is one of arguably the biggest game coming this year. You know, Smash Bros. For some of you guys is probably a bigger deal, but Pokemon has traditionally been a bigger seller than Smash. It is the biggest game, probably the best-selling game on Switch, at least coming out this year. Well, who cares about backing up data in a single-player RPG? No one cares about that. No one cares about protecting their data in Pokemon. I mean, they didn't care enough to bitch about it on 3DS, so why care now? Well, we didn't have cloud saves on 3DS. We had local backups, which is a lot harder to deal with than cloud saves are. Because you have to access the network, there are so many stopgaps along the way to prevent cloning, even beyond what I talked about, that can be implemented. Everyone tweet this idea to Game Freak. They're not going to listen because they don't care. They don't actually care. They don't. Before I did this video, I sent an email. I sent an email to my representative at Golan Harris. It's not really a full-on rep. It's just someone I know at Golan Harris. I sent an email to through the contact form on Nintendo's website. And then I also sent an email to the only email I could find to send email to the Pokemon Company and then Game Freak. In the email, I detailed out how they could fix this system. I didn't give them the code base for it because I don't have the code base for the Pokemon games, so I'm not sure how it's going to work. For those who don't know, I do have programming experience. I can program a system like this, but I need access to all of the source code for Pokemon and their online infrastructure to even attempt to do it myself. I don't have that. They're not going to give that to me. I'm not offering my services to do that anyways, because it's probably going to be above my head anyways, and I just don't want to even... As flattering as it might be to be offered, I don't even want Nintendo to attempt to offer me. But I told them all the methods I know about to get this done. I gave them examples of other games that use similar methods, that they could contact those companies if they want, if they don't think they can figure it out. And that while cloud saves, maybe it's too late to enable cloud saves at the beginning of the launch of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, because it's too soon and it would take too long to implement these features. They could force implement these features in the future for Pokemon Let's Go and Let's Go, Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee by January or February, and then allow us to use cloud saves then. And I even told them doing so would instill more confidence in your consumers that while you did not necessarily have the measures in place to allow cloud saves to block cloning with cloud saves right now, we're working on a solution to enable you to do it in the future. And that would ease my mind. And I think a lot of people's minds that are ready for cloud saves to be implemented in every game in 2018. In every game. Remember, Xbox, PlayStation 4, literally every game on those platforms, every game, Dead Cells included, by the way, is backupable to the cloud. Or to local. They have a backup method that lets you back up every game on the platform. Some of those methods are free even, but that's a conversation for a different day. No excuse for Nintendo. No excuse. Let's see here. To be honest, Game Freak really thinks that they're probably not wrong, as crappy as it is. They're probably not wrong about what? Oh, if Game Freak really thinks that. That's crappy. Yeah, I mean, they're not wrong. People are going to buy the game anyways, and they're just not going to care. They're not going to care about making things better. You're going to buy it anyways, Pokemon. Even if this was the next generation of Pokemon, it doesn't matter. We don't care. We don't care about you being able to back up your data. We don't value that. We don't think our consumers care about that. This, to me, is akin to when Sony is telling crossplay to F off, right? Sony's being like, nah, we can't. You want crossplay? Psh, you don't need crossplay. Just buy a PlayStation 4. Well, why would our users want to play with their friends on other systems? You know, when your friend took his Switch unit to play Fortnite on the go, and he's at some internet cafe, and he just wants to get in a quick match with me at home on a PlayStation 4. Hell, he might have a PlayStation 4 at home, but he ain't bringing his PlayStation 4 to an internet cafe. Oh, so he happens to be at an internet cafe having coffee with his buds, and he just wants to show off Fortnite or some new gear he got. Oh, I can't import it from PlayStation 4. Can't do crossplay because, buy a PlayStation 4. Game Freak, well, you don't need to back up your saves. Why would anyone want to back up their saves? It creates an issue with cloning. Everybody knows that. It's easily defensible. Look at this. Why would we enable a method to make people cheat? Oh, wait, we could solve the cheating issue and then still enable that method? Why do that? People are just going to buy it anyways. You know what? You don't need cloud saves. You're buying Pokemon anyways. You know it. You know it, and I know it. They know it. I'm buying Pokemon. They got me. To be fair, I don't usually buy Pokemon games, so I'm not really the consumer base that I think that I think buys almost every Pokemon game under the sun, because I don't. Under the sun, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun. Never bought Sun and Moon. Never bought Ultra Sun and Moon. So I don't feel as guilty, but then again, I do, because this is the game I want cloud backups on, and the reason I want cloud backups on is because I want to play it and know my data is going to be safe. And the methods to make it so cloning can't happen already exist. Thanks. I'm one of the most passionate members of the community. I try. I got mentioned in a recent Review Tech USA video even. He talked about this stuff, more so for Splatoon, because he doesn't play Splatoon, and he was watching my video about the no excuses thing, and that's where he found out that the ranking data is saved locally on your Switch and that's the primary data set used, so that's why they can't allow the saves, and how that's ridiculous and no game uses that ever. So Nintendo doesn't even use that across the board with their online multiplayer games, so yeah, they shouldn't be doing that anymore. I can understand maybe the initial mistake was Splatoon 1 doing that, but it should have never existed in Splatoon 2. But he gave me a shout out for informing him on that front. RMFH was up in the chat, but he retracted something. M the Moon, be careful, man. Don't use slurs like that. Even if you're angry at Game Freak, I'm upset at Game Freak. It's not using slurs like that gets you nowhere. I really do not know how Nintendo can be offering a paid service with a half-horse cloud. The thing is, I can't control the third parties, right? They have an opt-in option for it. I'm not going to blame Nintendo for any third-party game that doesn't support the cloud. But we're talking about Splatoon 2, and we're talking about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. I just explained how Game Freak can fix Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. We already know how Splatoon 2 can get fixed. All Nintendo needs to say is that we're working towards implementing those systems, even if they won't be available at launch, because it is going to require a patch and some reworking of how they store data for Splatoon 2 before they can enable cloud saving for it. I know that. It's not an overnight fix. It could take them a month, 2, maybe 3 months to work out the systems and get the code base changed over and get the updates implemented and force people to update their games in order to do that. I completely appreciate and understand that. But it's the fact that Nintendo does not, at least right now, and Game Freak does not, at least right now, appear committed to fix the issues that are making it so cloud saves can't be a thing used because they can be used for cheating. They can fix they can fix the cheating. They can fix it. They can fix the issues cloud saves presents for cheating, but they're not committing to it. If they would just say, we understand this is why we're not allowing cloud saves at launch. However, we are working on some anti-cheat methods with those saves to enable them in the future. All you got to say. But you know why they didn't say it? Because they're not. They're not working on a solution for Splatoon 2, even though the solution's out there. Game Freak's not working on a solution to make Pokemon. Like, forget Pokemon this year. What about the Pokemon next year? Just because there's an issue with cloning doesn't mean we shouldn't have cloud backups. Doesn't mean there's not a solution to enable cloud backups and block cloning. So, Ginger Cruz, what's the answer? The answer, I'll say it one more time for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, since that's in the title, is basically a system that forces your save files to update upon initiating a trade. So you initiate the trade, it creates a token. The trade hasn't happened yet, but it creates a token on your save file that says, this person initiated a trade with this Pokemon. The trade has not been completed yet. So there's nothing to clone at this point. If you get your save data back, you're just getting back what happened at that moment. So this prevents people who try to shut off their system in the middle of a trade, and the trade still goes through, and then they get their old backups and blah, blah, blah. They cheat the save system, the automatic save system. So this gets around that. When the trade is completed, or in the process of it being completed, it's technically completed, but it doesn't say completed on your screen yet, it updates your save file again, and it does this there and in the cloud if you trade online. If you do it locally, it does that locally on your system, and then when you connect online to get your file, it does a check of your save file that you currently have, and it'll be like, oh, wait a second, you actually had a recent token or a recent trade that occurred that was saved, that overwrote your save file, that's a newer file than what's currently on our server. We're not going to let you download that. In fact, we're going to update the cloud one with the one on your system, and you don't really have a choice. It's just part of the end-user license agreement. Now, you might say, well, what happens if someone does this and then doesn't connect to the online? Like they're trying to clone legendaries. This is basically the scenario that you could argue is a counter, but there's a solution to this as well. So you send a legendary to another Switch and another version of the game, right? And before you connect online, you delete your save data off your Switch, allowing you to re-download the save data off of the cloud that has your legendary still. And then suddenly you have 2 legendaries. You trade that legendary back to yourself for a Butterfree or whatever the case may be. Now you have 2 legendaries of the same Pokemon. Well, one, they could block that with unique IDs, but that's besides the point. Unique IDs are another step towards blocking cloning. But the clones still occur because your friend now has that legendary and you have that legendary. How they can do that is when you go to download that, just because you can delete your save data, if it notes like that token. Remember I talked about that token it can create at the beginning of a trade before it's ever even started or completed. It just sees what Pokemon you're putting in the trade. When you delete the save data, it does not delete that token. So what that token tells the server with your cloud data is, wait a second, they deleted their save data, or their save data is missing on their system. But when we are going to put their old save data on the system, we notice there's a token that says there was a recent trade or a trade initiated. That's fishy. Ergo, we're going to block you from getting your data. Please contact customer service. And then in the rare case where it's just legit, your Switch died, something happened, something weird happened, right? You dropped your Switch in the middle of a trade. Like, it's actually legit. They can figure out a way to restore your data. But again, that requires going through customer service, being on the phone for hours on end, etc. All of that to make it basically impossible to clone Pokemon through the cloud save. Doesn't fix local backup save, like when people hack their system. But this makes it so the cloud saves are a non-issue. And these are systems that aren't even uncommon. Other games that have trading, both locally and online, of items and stuff like that, have these systems in place. That's why cloud backups are allowed to be used on those systems as well. Again, solution, done. It's already out there. I emailed all the appropriate parties. They're going to ignore my email because I'm a nobody on the internet. But maybe you don't buy every Pokemon game, but you're not wrong. I bought every Pokemon game and have been a hardcore fan since the beginning, and I agree with you. I mean, that's the thing. People are going to buy the games anyways, because here's the thing. No cloud backups or no cloud backups, it doesn't change the quality of the game, right? Like, Splatoon 2 is still fantastic, even without cloud backups. Cloud backups doesn't impact the quality of the game. We're just talking about the right to protect our data. We're just talking about an ability to back up our hundreds of hours of Pokemon, or our hundreds and hundreds of hours of Splatoon, and backing that data up in a way that's reliably able to return to my system. In an ideal world, we never need to use our backup on the cloud. Outside of maybe a system transfer or something like that, or you sold your system and then you bought another Switch later and you want to recover your saves. Like, outside of situations like that, in a normal situation where you don't sell your Switch and you complete your system transfers locally when you get like a new Switch, you don't need to ever use the data. The goal is that data is just there for your peace of mind. It's there for the worst case scenario. And the fact that measures can be implemented that are industry standard to enable this in Pokemon and Splatoon 2, and Nintendo and Game Freak are not promising to look into it and possibly implement that stuff in the future, so we could have that peace of mind of not losing hundreds, if not thousands of hours of progress in two of the most popular games that are going to be on the system, with another Pokemon game coming out next year, by the way, that's going to have the same issues. That's a problem. And it sucks because it's not going to prevent me from buying the games, because the games themselves are good. Cloud saves don't make them better. It's just a peace of mind. It's a consumer friendly thing to do, and we're paying for the ability to do it in the first place. So there's even incentive to make this stuff work, especially for Splatoon 2. If you think about this, Splatoon 2 works peer to peer, right? So it doesn't even use online servers for any of the actual multiplayer playing. It doesn't even use those servers for the definitive rankings of you. That's all stored locally on your Switch. So all of the online rankings that matter are stored locally on your Switch. All of the online gameplay is done peer-to-peer. And now you can't use cloud saves. So why the hell is this behind the online service? You're paying $20 to access the online service, say to play Splatoon 2, but the online service is doing nothing for Splatoon 2. It's not giving you dedicated servers to make the online gameplay better. It's not enabling cloud saves. So why is Splatoon 2 behind the service? What's the reason? What is the reasoning that Splatoon 2 is behind the service when nothing in the service benefits Splatoon 2? Nothing. The only argument was going to be the cloud saves. Oh, you get the cloud saves at least. But we don't even get that. So why the hell is Splatoon 2 behind the $20 service? And yes, it's just $20 a year. I get it. That's still not an excuse. It could be $1 a year. But the service adds nothing to a particular game, but the game's behind the service. See, at least you can argue for games like Mario Kart 8, stuff like that. You get the backup. You get cloud backups. Not a big deal. But you don't even get that here. And then for Pokemon, which I'm assuredly you're going to require the online service to do online activities in Pokemon, the online service isn't adding anything to Pokemon either. Why? Because any of the online functionality is handled through Pokemon Bank, which you already pay a separate fee for. So why are these games behind the service in the first place when the service doesn't do anything for them? You're not getting your dedicated servers, and you're not getting the ability to back up the game. So why are these games behind the service? Because they know if these games are not behind the service, less and less people will be incentivized to buy the service. It's all just a big fat conundrum. Well, better netcode helps as well, but what are you gonna do? Old man yells at cloud. I'm not that old, am I? Maybe I am. I don't know. Maybe I'm past my prime. You have Jim Carrey's hairstyle in the movie Dumb and Dumber. So my hair doesn't stay sticking up because I showered recently, so it's all slick now. It falls where it's supposed to. There's no excuse for Dead Cell. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Dead Cell. But again, that's not on Nintendo. That's on them. Maybe they just forgot to tick the box and they'll update it later. I don't know. I mean, that's on the third party. Just like Dark Souls Remastered, that's on the people behind Dark Souls Remastered to fix. Pass your Nintendo Prime. Yeah, I've passed my Nintendo Prime. Or my Prime Nintendo years. Yeah, well, that's why those games are behind the system, because it's greedy, not because the online system's adding anything to those games. Anyways, Edward Norton says, what do you think of EA refusing to remove loot boxes in FIFA? That's a good question to ask me tomorrow. I actually was going to make a standalone video on that, but I'm gonna save that for the Wednesday Q&A. Maybe that's even a question. I'll put up the post on Patreon today. Be sure to throw that. I know you're a Patreon supporter, Ed. Be sure to go throw that question on there, so I remember to address that tomorrow. I just wanted to keep this video short, this video concise. We're at about 47 minutes on this stream. I'm going to send this video live after the fact so the whole world can know what my thoughts were on this. It's just kind of a follow-up to the previous video I did addressing the concerns since I didn't technically address the local trading issues. I actually made the same kind of argument for the online trades and stuff like that, but I didn't actually address local, so now I just wanted to explain how it can be done locally. Hopefully it makes sense. I repeated myself many times, so people aren't going to have to rewatch the video and over again. That's what live streams are like. Plus, the first minute of the live stream, my microphone was muted. I'll have to edit that out before it goes live, but all right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I don't know if I'm going to get any other content out. I think I'm going to be doing a test video. I'm probably going to put out a really shoddily put together Prime News just to get your guys' thoughts. Again, I have my LED set up over here. It's orange now. It's going to be a different color. For the background. Basically, I want to make a discussion video in this set, and I want to make a Prime News today over in this set, and just see what you guys think about the new setups, any improvements you think I can do. I think the best way to show it off and to get suggestions is to just do it. Also, tonight, remember, I am planning to live stream some Fortnite on the Switch in my new setup over here with the TV and the couch and everything. I already got my laptop and everything set up. I have to go through OBS and everything and make sure that's all good to go, but I'm planning to do something over there tonight so I could test that. Basically, I'm looking to test 3 of my available sets tonight or at some point today and get your guys' feedback on it. And I'm going to note that at the very beginning that I apologize if these are not the highest quality of videos at the moment. I am testing new sets and new lighting situations, and I appreciate any feedback. All right, folks. I'll catch you guys.